Hey, it's Shauna. I am so excited that you're here. This week's episode is so exciting. Last week, I recorded a video for my private Facebook group, The Wisdom of the Oracle, and it was so well received by everyone. It was absolutely fantastic. And if you'd like to learn more about the group, you can check the show notes. I'll have the link there if you'd like to learn more about it. This information was again so well received, and I received so many messages. People were like, "What? This is crazy. This helps so much." So I wanted to do a podcast episode today to help people to step into this arena with me as well. And if you're new here, I send you the biggest welcome, and I need you to know that I see you and I love you and you belong. I'm so grateful to have you as a part of our community. Okay, so anyone who knows me knows that I love to geek out on personal growth. Yes, I do. I'm never going to be done, and that's just the way it is. So this is one of my favorite books, is The Mountain Is You. It's dog-eared, and I've got notes in it, and it literally opened last week to this page, and I wanted to create an episode this week to elaborate a little bit more. And it opened to the page on intuitive nudges versus intrusive thoughts. So, as a spiritual teacher, this is something that I incorporate into all of my classes to help my students to really start to decipher, okay, is that my awareness or is that my ego jumping in? Is that my awareness? Is that an intuitive download, if you will, from my guides, my angels, my spiritual team? Or is that just my mind kicking up and raising a stink about stuff? And so that's what we're going to be talking about in this episode. So from a spiritual perspective, we all have a spiritual team, whatever that looks like for you. Some people refer to the afterlife, the hereafter, heaven, energy, the universe, whatever that looks like for you. Everyone has spirit guides and angels that are assigned to us to help us to navigate life. And it's like a different relationship. It's like we're going to start to broaden our awareness, our spidey senses, and we're going to really start to tune in and tap into what that looks like. And if this is something that you need help with, feel free to reach out, because I have classes, I offer individual sessions, we have our community over on TikTok. I have so many different offerings for people. I do one-on-one mentorship. So if you need an extra hand with this, feel free to reach out and I'll get back to you. Okay. So I'm going to go through what she has listed here, and then I'd love to elaborate a little bit on each one. And again, this is The Mountain Is You from Brianna Wiest, and we'll have the contact info in the show notes. When you start listening to yourself, you might find it hard to tell the difference between thoughts that are helpful and intuitive and thoughts that are damaging and intrusive. They both function similarly. They are immediate, reactive, and offer some kind of previously unseen insight, and yet they function so completely differently in practice. This is how to start telling the difference between thoughts that are informed by your intuition and thoughts that are informed by fear. And again, I think she has about 12 different topics. And so we're going to go through each of these, okay? So, intuitive thoughts are calm. Intruding thoughts are hectic and fear-inducing. This is the biggest insight that I can give you, that I can offer you. When your ego gets kicked up, when you're triggered, when your ego gets riled up, it's going to be something that's fear-based. It's going to make you feel off. It's not helpful. Okay. I've often referred to the ego as edging God out. Okay. And so when the intuitive thoughts come in, they're positive. It's uplifting. If you have interacted with your angels, the angelic energy, the frequency is very soft and loving and unconditional. That's all the angels know. So if a thought pops into your mind and it's critical and it's almost like it's throwing you under the bus, like, you really screwed that up and what's your problem? And see, nothing ever works out. Those are not coming from that loving, truthful, kind place inside that is your true essence. Okay. Intuitive thoughts are rational. They make a degree of sense. Intruding thoughts are irrational and often stem from aggrandizing a situation or jumping to the worst conclusion possible. So let's just use angels as an example for our conversation today. The angelic realm, again, is positive. It's uplifting. It's unconditional love. Angels have not been in human form. There are a few archangels who have been in human form, so they understand the duality. They understand what it's like to be in human form. They understand the lower emotions. They understand the ego. Your angels have not been in human form, so they do not understand anything that isn't loving and kind. So whenever we have thoughts that are from our angels, typically it will make sense. As an example, I was asking my angels for help with a project that I'm working on. I kept saying things like, okay, all right, I need extra help with this project. Please bring me the means, the money, the time, the resources, everyone and anything I need to make this project as effortless as possible, as fun as possible. And then within about a day, I received an email from someone. And in the email, in the subject line, was exactly what I was looking for. It was like, whoa, wait a minute. What was that? It was clear, it was concise, it felt good. And so I ran with it, and I've aligned with someone who's going to help me. And I'm so grateful. The other side of that is if they're intruding thoughts, they kind of don't make sense. And so our ego wants to keep us where we are. We don't want to take any risks. We want to stay small. It's fear-based. So anytime you start to feel afraid or you've got doubt that comes in, that's your ego. These are the intrusive thoughts, and they're not true. They're not true. I can't stress that enough. If you have a thought pop into your mind that doesn't feel like it's positive, uplifting, it's helping you to step into that future, it's helping you to move toward your goals, I need you to stop. It's almost like stop, drop, and roll. It's like, no, I want to feel loving and kind. This isn't how I want to feel. Throughout our conversation today, it's always going to come back to how do you want to feel? Hopeful, loving, kind, free. Okay, these are the emotions that we want to work towards. And if we're not feeling those emotions, that's something that we need to look at. And these fleeting thoughts that come in, they're just designed to sort of veer us off our path. You see, we're stepping into a whole new version of us. And in the work that I do, I help people to identify what their heart's desires are. And then we start to break that down into manageable pieces and start to build a consistency, celebrating each step that we take towards making that a reality. Okay. Intuitive thoughts help you in the present moment. They give you information that you need to make a better informed decision. Intruding thoughts are often random and have nothing to do with what's going on in the moment. So again, the example I shared with you when I was asking my angels for extra help, it's like, boom, that email showed up. And the subject line said exactly what I was looking for. And I laughed. I said, oh, you guys are good. Thank you. More, please. Okay. And that was in response. I always teach people that to stay in question. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is when we stay in question, we're asking and we're inviting our spiritual team into our world. Whatever that looks like for you. For me, it's angels, it's guides. Okay. It's my helpers from the other side. So whenever I stay in question, I'm inviting them in because we have free will. They can't just come in and drive our bus. They can't just come in and steamroll over us. Okay. We have to invite them in because we have free will. So I tell people, stay in question. So what stay in question does is it just kind of keeps that doorway open to allow them to come in and to co-create with us and to bring us guidance. They will answer every single question that you ask. They will. But we need to be open and available to the responses, the answers, the guidance, the insight. There are some answers that come in a way that we're like, no, that's not what I want. I want to hear. I want the lottery numbers. I want the easy button. But if that isn't going to support our soul's growth, then we will not have the answers that we're expecting, if that makes sense. So it's always about how open and available are we? And they always answer. Just let go of the how. Our job is to set the intention and be in allowance, be in flow of receiving, and let the universe, our angels, guides, take care of the how. If you find yourself stepping into how, I'm going to figure this out, I'm going to micromanage, I have to control everything, that is either because you've had a trauma that you are trying to protect yourself from that happening again, and I get it, or that again is your ego that's stepping in, that we have to control this, we have to understand everything that's going on. Okay. And this is another, it's almost like our ego or those intrusive thoughts are kind of sneaky. Like they kind of, it's like it just feels different. And this is something that I invite people to practice. So practice, getting to know your angels. I have a free guardian angel meditation. I'll pop it in the show notes. So getting to know your angels. What do your angels feel like? What does the energy feel like? Okay. And again, this is practice. It takes practice. I just had a beautiful coaching call with Ashley. She's been with me for it seems like forever, but she is one of my favorite coaching clients because she is always willing to step into the arena. She's always willing to look at, okay, what's my part in this and where did that come from? And I don't feel good. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to feel amazing. And that's where she lives. She's like, no, I don't feel amazing. I need to shift this, change it. So it does take work. It takes consistent effort to get to know your angels and your guides. And again, if this is something I can help you with, feel free to reach out. Intuitive thoughts are quiet. Intruding thoughts are loud, which makes one harder to hear than the other. So with this point, I love to teach this in my angel classes. So when you ask a question and you're calm and you're centered and you're focused on your heart, you're grounded in the present moment, and you ask angels, could you please say hello? The first thing that pops in, those are your angels. And it's very subtle. Spirit energy is very subtle. And it's only in the present moment. It doesn't talk about, oh my God, look at what happened. You're horrible. It doesn't blame. It doesn't shame you. There's no anxiety. There's no panic. There's no regret. There's no remorse. There are no lower emotions attached to our divine guidance, our insight, our awareness, the messages from our angels, the intuitive nudges. Okay. It's all loving and kind and it's positive. Sometimes it feels like a little bit of a kick in the ass because they will course correct and they'll say, you really do need to get your taxes done. Because if you don't, there are consequences. And we don't think that that's what you're looking for. So they will help you to course correct. And the intuitive guidance, the nudges, they don't go into the future to try to scare you. So again, our ego is trying to pull us out of the now. Our ego is trying to go back into the past or is trying to go into the future and project all this terrible stuff that could happen as a way to keep us safe. That's what it's programmed to do. It's programmed to keep us safe. That's all it knows. That's all it understands. Okay. And so these quiet thoughts, I always tell people, so if you imagine walking into the room that you're in and flicking the light switch on, how quickly that current runs to illuminate the light in the room. That's how fast your angels' energy is, if not faster. So your angels, your loved ones, your guides, your team, that energy is pretty quick. Okay. And so if we are distracted, we're not going to be available to pick up on those intuitive nudges. We're just not. If we've got a watch chirping, if we've got phones chirping, if we've got our TV on, if we've got music playing, if we've got a multitude of different things chirping at us, it's taking us out of the present moment. And whether it's connecting with your angels and guides and loved ones, or it's connecting with your true essence, your inner guidance system. We all have an inner GPS system. This is our awareness. Okay. So it's quiet. It's almost like subtle. It's like a whisper. And if we're distracted, if we're in a multitude of different places, if we're back in the past, if we're ruminating about the future, if we're beating ourselves up over stuff, we're not here in the present moment to capture it, to be available for it. It's almost like just letting it drop. So it's asking the questions and then letting it drop. So my invitation is to bring meditation into your world, whatever that looks like for you. I love Joe Dispenza meditations. I have my own Meet Your Guardian Angel meditation. We'll include that in the show notes. So spend some time right? Like spend some time going into meditation and connecting in. What does your higher self feel like? I think of my higher self as my big sister. I know what her energy feels like. I know what that feels like. I've spent tens of thousands of hours mastering what the different frequencies feel like for me. So if you're new to all of this, I want you just to follow what feels light. So what's true for you is going to feel light. What's true for you is going to come from a place of that feels really good. It feels light. It feels positive. It feels uplifting. And sometimes it takes a little bit of practice, especially if we are used to sort of ignoring our awareness and not trusting in it. Okay. So I invite you to start to practice. Practice just tuning in. How does that make me feel? Okay. Because that's your inner GPS system. And then if you want to take it further, okay, I'd love to chat with my angels and learn how to connect with my angels. What does my guardian angel's energy feel like? And you can start to develop that relationship as well. And again, we have a spiritual team, and this does not mean that we need to unravel all of this in one sitting. Take what resonates, leave the rest. And if you need help, please let me know. Okay. Intuitive thoughts usually come to you once, maybe twice, and they induce a feeling of understanding. Intruding thoughts tend to be persistent and induce a feeling of panic. It's almost like, especially if we're going to up level. So I call it up leveling. So if there's stuff that you're working on, so say you're working on relationship stuff as an example, and you're ready to up level, you're ready to move beyond relationships that don't feel beautiful and loving and kind, and you're ready to move into relationships that are supportive and loving and nurturing because you are on a deeper level, deeply loving and accepting of yourself. That's going to cause a ripple effect. Okay. So as you are shifting and changing, sometimes what happens is I call it up leveling, and it can feel like everything's kind of going shit sideways. It can feel like a tower moment. It can feel like, oh my God, what's happening? And it's almost like a lot of people will feel that resistance and they'll see stuff going wrong and they'll think, oh my God, I have to, I can't have this change. I have to shift. I'm going to go back to what I know because that's familiar, whatever it is, because they're looking for that sense of safety. So sometimes it's, it feels comfortable to stay with the devil we know because that's what we know. Not to say that there are devils involved, but rather it's, okay, that old belief system is what I'm familiar with. I'm familiar with, feeling less than. I'm familiar with things not working out. My mindset isn't that great yet. And so sometimes it's very easy to go back into that. Instead, the invitation is to recognize that when all of these challenges start to present, it's an opportunity for you to move through them. Okay. It's like they're coming up because you're ready to deal with it. It's like, okay. And even if we don't know how, okay, I don't know how to handle this, I'm going to figure it out. Universe, guides, angels, bring me whatever I need to work through this with ease and grace. Thank you. Let's go. And not letting life knock you down and keep you down. A lot of people feel defeated and like life knocks them down. And then as we continue to stay in those thoughts, our mind, those intrusive thoughts, it'll keep piggybacking. Oh yeah, remember how that didn't work out? Oh yeah, see, look, and it'll give us more evidence. So it's imperative that we start to build the energy into the future that we're creating for ourselves. And again, if this is something that I can help you with, please feel free to reach out. And just a side note, this coming Thursday, November 7th, I have my next round of Angel Basics 101 starting. Okay. So we get together for an hour a week for 4 weeks, and you'll learn everything about the angelic realm, who your guardian angel is, how many angels you have in your team, how to manifest with them, the signs, everything angels. Okay. So if there's something more that you're ready to delve into, we've got some good things coming up. Okay. Intuitive thoughts often sound loving, while invasive thoughts sound scared. So again, these invasive thoughts will kind of come out of left field. It's almost like that inner critic is going to start chirping and saying all these crazy things because it doesn't want you to grow and flourish. It wants you to stay stuck and small. And don't put yourself out there. You should stay small. And this is safe. This is what we know what to expect here. And the invitation becomes, no, I'm creating a life that I absolutely love, and I'm willing to do whatever the fuck it takes to get there. And I'm willing to be uncomfortable. This is like Ashley said this morning. She said, I don't ever want to feel like I felt before. I'm not a victim. I'm not less than. I'm not blaming people. I'm moving beyond that. I want to feel free. Ultimately, we all want to feel free and have hope for the future and feel loving and kind because that's our natural state. Our natural state is beautiful. It really is. And I specialize in helping people to get unstuck so they can remember what that feels like. So if it's something that sounds loving and kind, those are your angels, those are your guides, that's your higher self, that's your own inner GPS system telling you things and giving you information. If it feels like scared, oh, you shouldn't do that, bad things are going to happen, think of a horrible inner critic that's sitting on your shoulder, chirping at you, that doesn't want you to succeed, that wants to remind you of limitations. Those limitations are in the past. Those are stories, okay? And now we can create a whole new story moving forward. Intuitive thoughts usually come out of nowhere. Invasive thoughts are usually triggered by external stimuli. Okay, this is huge. Okay, this right here is a game changer. When I read this, I sat there for like an hour and I was like, whoa, that was huge. That was huge. So intuitive thoughts usually come out of nowhere. Okay, so when we create space, when we're doing mundane things, the guidance will come. Remember, we're asking, and that intuitive information is going to come to us, whatever that looks like for you. It could be, if you want to think in terms of it's coming from my angels, my higher self, my spirit guides, whatever. If you just want to blanket it with, it's coming from the universe, it's coming from love, it's coming from God, whatever that looks like for you. Those thoughts will just sort of come out of nowhere. We continue to ask, and it'll just pop into your head. Could be first thing in the morning or right before you fall asleep. We could be, again, doing mundane tasks. We could be, kind of zoning out, sitting by the river with a cup of tea, and then just boom, the insight comes in because we've created space for it to come in. Does that make sense? And then those invasive thoughts are triggered. So when we get triggered, that's when those thoughts get reared up. We get triggered, we have an emotion, there are thoughts and belief systems connected to it. It's that simple. I've shared these guys with you before. And so if you're listening, I have props. Yes, you can check out the video on YouTube if you'd like. So I have Gumby on my desk, and he reminds me to be flexible. This is from one of the first teachers I had years ago, Sonia Chiquette. She's like, he reminds you to be flexible, and he does. Gumby represents our old stuff. So when we get triggered, it's this version of us that gets triggered. It could be inner child. It could be inner adolescent that gets triggered and rears its head, and it's our ego, and all these things get triggered. These are the old stories and the belief patterns that we have. So there's something that happens. So say somebody cuts us off in traffic. We'll just use that as an example. And we get angry, and something in us feels like less than, like I'm not important. Oh, you think you're better than me, whatever it is. This version is going to get triggered. Okay. That's all it is. We have to be so gentle with this version and have such compassion for this version, because this is the old story. Okay, eventually this version is just going to be benched, and it's just Instead, we want to start building in, and yes, I have a Wonder Woman on my desk. It sure reminds me that I'm fierce. So I get triggered. It's the old version that's coming up. Okay, so this is like reacting versus responding. So we're all experiencing this. We're all learning and growing and shifting and changing. So imagine again, we get cut off in traffic. Somebody just about hits our car and we're like, whoa, if we're not having a super great day that day, that can just be really triggering and we don't feel good. And why are you doing that? And that's rude and blah, 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 blah. Pretty soon we have this whole diatribe of negativity and it just all comes spewing out. We've all been there. Okay. So we have to be very gentle with that part of us, because we're going to build into the future part of us that responds and says, okay, interesting. Everyone is a reflection of me. Everyone's mirroring me. So I've been putting out spicy energy maybe in the past few days, and now it's showing up in my physical reality. That's also the work that I do with people to help them understand what signal they're broadcasting, because whatever signal we're broadcasting is what the universe is going to send us more of. It's like a magnetic match. Okay. So this future version of us would respond, would sit and just sort of get curious. Why did that just show up in my world? Interesting. I see life as an experiment. So basically all the inner work that we do, you think of yourself as a nucleus inside the cell. You are the nucleus. And if the nucleus is filled with doubt and anger, resentment, fear, victim, blaming, guilt, shame, if your inner nucleus, your world is filled with all of that, that's going to permeate out into the entire cell. That's going to permeate out into your entire universe. And then everything that matches that is going to find its way to you. That's what we refer to as alignment. And if you want to shift and change, beautiful, amazing, because you can create a whole new reality for yourself. A reality where everything works out for you. A reality where even if shit goes sideways, you go, cool, life's working out for me. What can I learn from that? What can I shift and change? Okay. And so we want to just be aware that, again, our intuitive spidey senses, our angels, our guides, whatever that looks like for you, it'll sort of come out of nowhere. Usually when we're doing mundane stuff, or we're showering, or we're folding laundry, we're gardening, we're kind of daydreaming, we've created a space where our mind is quiet, and that's where that information can come in. Whereas the invasive thoughts are usually triggered by something. Something in our outer world will happen, we get triggered, and that stuff starts to bubble up to the surface, okay? Intuitive thoughts don't need to be grappled with. You have them, and then you let them go. Like, you'll have an intuitive hit, and it's like, I should call that person, or maybe I should go here, or maybe I should go there. This happens to me all the time. I get this intuitive hit. Oh, you should go to this farmer's market. And I go to the farmer's market, I bump into somebody there. Every single time. I'm like, damn, that's awesome. You should do this, or right. And those are those intuitive hits. I didn't struggle. I didn't go, why do you want me to go to the farmer's market? That's not the right one. Why would I do that? Like, I don't sit and grapple with it and try to understand it and pick it apart. Instead, I go, that feels good. Okay, I'm going to follow that. I'm following what feels light for me. I'm following what feels good. It'll drop. It feels good. I follow it. That's the formula. Okay. Invasive thoughts begin a whole spiral of ideas and fears. And we just talked about that, making it feel impossible to stop thinking about them. Again, if this stuff gets triggered, the old stuff gets triggered. And if we bite into it, and if we start to examine it and we start to identify with it, yeah, that guy's wrong for cutting me off in traffic. What a jerk. Oh my God. Our mind is going to be quick to go, oh yeah, remember when this happened? Yeah, remember when this happened? And it's going to look for more evidence to continue to keep us on that path. I know it sounds crazy, but once you start to get really curious with your world, just really, if you can step back and sort of be the observer of your world, it's going to give you so much insight. It's going to give you so much to look at. It's juicy, juicy, juicy. Okay. Even when an intuitive thought doesn't tell you something you like, okay, it never makes you feel panicked. Just like I shared earlier, it was like, my guides, I kept getting the insight that I needed to go and renew my license. I hadn't changed my address, and it just kept slipping and it kept slipping, and I didn't make it a priority. That's on me. And I got pulled over for a speeding ticket. Yep. And I pull out my registration. I'm like, shit, I didn't update my license to my new address. There was stuff, it was stuck in there. And I got a ticket for that too. And I was like, shit. So I had the awareness. And again, it was subtle, and I didn't make it a priority. Okay. So it'll come in, but it didn't make me feel panicked. I was like, yeah, I'll get it done. Yeah, I'll get it done. Whereas even if you experience like sadness or disappointment, you don't feel overwhelmingly anxious. Like, I didn't feel bad about that. I was like, yeah, I'll get it done. Panic is the emotion you experience when you don't know what to do with a feeling. It's what happens when you have an invasive thought. So if you have this invasive thought, it's going to induce panic or overwhelm. That's another one. People feel stuck. They're like, oh my God, I don't know what to do with this. Those are just thoughts. Okay. And thoughts are not real. Thoughts are not real. These weirdo thoughts that pop into your head, and this is something I give my coaching clients. I'm like, have a day timer and write stuff down. If you're going about your day and this random thought pops in, write it down, because that's like your subconscious mind will start spewing stuff. And if you can catch that, then we can start to flip it. See, nothing ever works for you. You're not good enough. Like, there's some, your subconscious mind is going to start to, I say barf the stuff out. And then what's so powerful is you can grab it and go, no, everything does work out for me. And we start to imprint the new stuff. Okay. And so that's a lot of the work that I do. If you want to delve further into this, EFT tapping is huge. My favorite is Brad Yates. You can find him on YouTube. Just type in Brad Yates EFT tapping. He's got thousands of videos. Absolutely phenomenal. EFT tapping will tap on the meridian points and bring all of those belief systems up to the surface to clear them. And then they put in the good stuff. So, you could be anxious. You could feel panicked. You could feel overwhelmed. You can feel stuck. He has tapping videos for all of those. And then you keep doing them until you feel it release, till you feel like it's not as heavy. I have an exercise I love to teach people. And this is to help people to understand how it feels, because we can't logically think our way through a lot of our life. Yes, in a lot of ways we have that logic and we're thinking things through and we have step by step. But when we connect into how we're feeling, that's what's guiding our system. That's what's guiding our world. So in this moment right now, place your hand over your heart. And for those of you who've been with me for a while, this will be familiar. Hand over your heart and say out loud or in your mind, my body likes to drink paint thinner. And then just notice what you pick up on. And you may have to practice it a few times. Okay. My body likes to drink paint thinner. Do you feel a clench in your gut? I feel a clench in my gut. I see stop sign. I hear no. I see like the yuck guy, the green yuck toxic face. Okay. I want you to keep practicing that until you feel something, till you sense something. Okay. And if you have to practice it for a few days, that's okay too. Just keep practicing. You'll get it. That's your body's way of telling you, no, that's not true for me. Okay. And then we're going to clear that energy. Hand over your heart. My body likes to drink water. And then notice where you feel that. For me, it feels light. It's like champagne bubbles. It's like, oh, yes, I see a green check mark. Okay. So I want you to practice with that. That also helps you to understand what's true for you. Okay. Intuitive thoughts often will open your mind to other possibilities. Invasive thoughts close your heart and make you feel stuck or condemned. Ding, 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 ding. Like this one's huge as well. This one is huge as well. So intuitive thoughts are like, oh, I should call that person. And then I can maybe do this. And then depending on what they say, it just sort of opens up. It kind of like gets the ball rolling, if you will. And those are the intuitive thoughts. It'll connect you to other possibilities. So I'm going to call this person, and then you call that person, you have the conversation, and they share a bunch of information with you. And then you're excited and you're like, oh my God, I want to do this and I want to do that. And it'll just sort of create this positive flow and stream of energy. Whereas invasive thoughts will typically close your heart and they'll make you feel stuck or condemned. And these invasive thoughts are feeding off the old stories. I'm not enough. I'm not important. I'm not prioritized. Nobody loves me. Worthiness, you name it, right? And this is a lot of, if there's more that we need to sort of delve into, this is the work that I take people through. If we need to chat with our inner children, if we need to incorporate, if we need to go through and do some deeper healing, we can absolutely go through and do that, but we don't stay there. Okay. If we need to go back and heal stuff, we go back, we heal it, shift it, change it, and then we put the good stuff in. Okay. So again, this is just using your awareness. If you are going about your day, things are great, and just out of nowhere, you just feel off, it's just an invitation to kind of sit and go, what just happened? What was that? What was that thought? Okay. What was I looking at something? Did I read something? Did I hear something? What is that? What's going on? Because my awareness is positive. Sometimes it can be a little kick in the pants, like go get your registration or, like and it's kind, it's not rude. Sometimes it's just like, you need to get your corporate taxes done, because if you don't, you're going to pay a penalty and then you're going to be pissed. Okay, fine. I'll listen. Okay. Intuitive thoughts come from the perspective of your best self. Invasive thoughts come from the perspective of your most fearful, small self. So your intuitive thoughts, again, whatever this looks like for you, whatever resonates with you. If you want to think in terms of it's my higher self, it's my spirit, my essence, my soul, my angels, my guides, whatever you want to call it, it's totally fine. And that's individual for everyone. those are positive. It's coming from your best self because those aspects of you, your higher self knows why you're here. Your higher self knows what your purpose is, what your mission is, why you are here. And so when we cultivate that relationship, we're in alignment with our true authentic self and how to show up as our best self, if that makes sense. The invasive thoughts is about being small, fearful, bringing doubt in, all those lower emotions that are connected with the ego. Our angels and guides and our higher self do not have any of these lower emotions. Even our loved ones who transition, when our loved ones transition from their physical body, they take with them all the love and the beautiful memories. They still have their personality on the other side, but they don't have an ego anymore. They don't blame anyone. They're not angry. They're not spicy. They're not resentful. They're not in victim. They don't have any of that. Okay. So whatever this looks like for you, if you want to focus on connecting with your higher self, your inner self, your best authentic self, or if you want to delve into your spirit team and access your angels and your guides, whatever that looks like for you, I invite you to play. That is the greatest thing that I can offer people too, is just play. Let's see what we get. If we pick door A and it doesn't go according to plan, great. We can pick door B. We can pick door M. Who cares? We can just continue to pick. Okay. You're never stuck. It's never a final. there's always more that we can do. We can shift, we can change. We can decide, okay, I've had enough with this. I want to try something new, right? Like we're always growing and changing. Sonia Chiquette, again, was one of my first teachers. And she said, our soul is here to expand and create. If we are not creating something, we're not fully living. Okay. Intuitive thoughts solve problems, invasive thoughts create them. So again, your ego is going to want, it's fear-based. It can get really spicy, critical. It's manipulative. It makes us feel bad. And it's not solving the problem. So again, staying in question, continuing to ask, and the answer will pop. It's like you'll have that awareness, or your guides, your angels, whatever that looks like for you. And just continue to practice, okay? And you don't have to worry about knowing where is this stuff coming from? Who's talking to me? And oh my God, we don't have to worry about figuring it out. Just follow what feels light. Follow what feels good for you. That's where I want you to start. Intuitive thoughts help you to help others. Invasive thoughts tend to create a me versus them, okay? So intuitive thoughts are going to be loving and kind. Okay, it's loving, it's kind, it's wanting to help people. Okay, because when you set the intention that you're showing up as the best version of you, that sends a different ripple effect out into the world, as opposed to, what's in it for me? No, they gave me 10%, I'm giving them 10%, right? And I always come back to, what would love do? What would love do? Because when we are sending out love into the future, into the world around us, eventually that's going to come back to us. The best analogy from my guides lately has been a boomerang. Imagine I just handed you a boomerang, okay? And you get to send that boomerang out with whatever you want to receive back. So if you're going to send that boomerang out, are you sending out positive thoughts? Because those positive thoughts are going to come back at some point. Am I sending out anger? Because guess what? That's going to come back at some point. Am I sending out love? Right? So I want you just to be aware of that, because you are creating your reality and being very, very aware of what you're sending out to the universe. I've been there. Everybody's been there. I went through a period of time over the summer where I was just miserable. I wasn't feeling good physically. I was feeling burnt out. I was run down. I was having all of these different issues with different vendors and people that were brought into the company to help, and they made a bigger mess. And it was just like, oh my goodness. And I had to sit with it and go, okay, I'm attracting all of this because I am broadcasting that I don't feel good. I'm broadcasting that I felt horrible, wretched, to be honest. And then it was coming back to me instead of, I'm going to take some time. My body needs time to rest. I'm going to love her, and I'm going to rest, and I'm going to delegate, and I'm going to trust that everything's going to work out. Okay. So you notice the shift, because our thoughts are creating our reality. The thoughts, the emotions, they're all connected. Intuitive thoughts help you to understand that what you're thinking and feeling, and invasive thoughts assume what other people are thinking and feeling. Okay. So when we assume, I want you to look at your assumptions. Okay. So if I assume that everyone is out to get me, that nothing works out for me, that's what we're going to continuously see. I go through and look at the patterns that are showing up in people's worlds, the kinds of relationships they're attracting, what their bank account has in it, okay, what their health looks like, because the way that we do one thing is the way that we do everything. And if we have these different thoughts, if we have these intrusive thoughts that are they've got a chokehold on one area of our life, it's going to seep out into other areas. So if I go into victim, I feel not good enough. I don't feel good enough. I don't feel worthy. Then that's going to impact all the other aspects of my world. So this is where we come back to the nucleus. You are the nucleus of that cell. The health of that cell depends on you and how you see yourself, how you see the world, how you see yourself in the world. I'm loved. I'm cherished. I'm always chosen. People value my existence. I'm always loved. Even if you haven't been, even if you've had a rough start to life, we can start to implement these changes now. Okay? Intuitive thoughts are rational, invasive thoughts are irrational. The crazier it sounds, you can rest assured that's not your intuition. That's not your intuition. That's not your higher self. It's not your angels, your guides, whatever that looks like for you. If it's crazy and out in left field and you're like, what is that? Those are intrusive thoughts. And that's thanks, we're not going there today. I will actually say, not today, Satan. Whenever I hear this stuff get kicked up, it's like, not today, Satan. It's imperative that you're able to interrupt it. And sometimes that takes practice. So if we get triggered around something that's really tender in our heart, sometimes it takes a little bit of time for us to go, there's that invasive stuff that's feeding off the past that I'm in the process of changing. Okay. And not getting stuck there. Stuck is just a thought. Stuck is just a feeling. Just being aware of it and being so gentle with yourself. I can't stress that enough. Our intuitive thoughts come from a deeper place within you and give you a resounding feeling deep in your gut. I know that whenever something is true for me, I will actually tear up and get emotional because it's love, it's joy, it's a truth in my soul. When I feel that, when I cry, I'm like, that's true for me. Okay. And the invasive thoughts will keep me stuck in my head and give me a panicked feeling. Like, oh my God, how's that going to work out? Oh my God. Anytime you hear yourself say, or if you think, how's that going to work? How's that going to work? You are not in alignment with your intuition. You're just not, and that's okay. And that we can practice. We can come back into alignment. Okay. And so again, the invasive thoughts will keep you stuck. Like they're not solutions based. They're not there to help you. Okay. Intuitive thoughts show you how to respond. Invasive thoughts demand that you react. As I mentioned earlier, that the version of you, that the greatest version of you, whether you're there now or you're in the process of stepping into that future version of you, is about responding, is about coming from a place of love, is about trying to create, a win-win solution for everybody, trying to understand everybody's doing the best that they can. We've all had difficult childhoods. We've all had difficult things. We've had trauma. We've had upsets, some of us more than others, but our feelings are valid. And our intuitive thoughts will help you to respond to something. It will help you to sit back and go, that doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel aligned with my heart's desire. It's not for me, and I'm going to let it go. And we don't have to beat it to death. We don't have to get angry. I used to get really angry with stuff. I would want to throw the baby, the bath, and the whole tub out. I'd be like, I would get so angry because I didn't think anything would work out for me because I was so used to being disappointed. I was so used to being hurt that I just thought at the first sign of something, it was like, nope, throw it in the garbage. Okay. So that took some time for me to understand, no, I can respond. I'm willing to sit in any discomfort that comes up. Understanding that the discomfort is not what's true for me, and the challenges, the discomfort, the doubt, all the stuff that can get stirred up, it's getting stirred up because I'm ready to work through it. I'm ready to work beyond it. And once we work through it and beyond it, it won't keep showing up in our world. You ever hear somebody say, It's like I married the same person 4 times. It's because they did. So after everything shifts for us, say a relationship ends, it's an opportunity to look at it and just sort of be interested. Okay, well, what about that did I love? What did I learn? How did I shift, change, or grow? What would I like for the future? Because we're not defined by our past. Okay. And just knowing that our intuition is there to serve us, to help us. So your intuition, your spidey senses, your gut sense, your inner GPS system. I interweave mine with my spiritual team, my angels, my guides, even my loved ones. Okay. If there's anything that I can help you with, if you're feeling stuck, please feel free to reach out. I work one-on-one with people. Again, we've got Angel Basics starting on the 7th. We get together for an hour a week for 4 weeks. And I send you mountains of love. Please drop a comment. Let me know your greatest takeaway from today. Let me know what your wins are for the day. Let me know how you are shifting and changing your world, as I want to hear all about your success. And I want to hear all about all the beautiful blessings and everything that's working in your world. I send you mountains of love. Till next time. Bye for now.